So it's across from the cemetery in that, of the intersection, northeast corner.
Is that in the county or?
It's in the county right now. Yes, as I said, they're wanting to hook up to water, they're going to extend the city water main. So, there's some annexation stuff they're working through too. I mean, we're still a ways off. I mean, they just got personnel review comments sent back to them. They're going to look those over, resubmit. So it's not something that is necessarily, fully ready to be finalized. So.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Anything else? Next item is an ordinance accepting the annexation for the territory you referred to a moment ago. Do you have any further comments on that, or does anyone want to address that?
I don't have any comments. I have not seen, the ordinance. I don't know what they're requesting to be annexed in it as a certain category. The property as a whole, I think it's 40 acres. This subdivision is only a portion of it. I think that's something that would be worth discussing as far as if we're going to annex them in. I think we need to just annex the whole 40 in as R1, which I believe it's R1 that would allow for the 1 acre lots that are proposing. And then later on, if they want to rezone the rest of it, they'll have to come in and apply for a rezone to change the rest of that property if they're wanting to have a little bit more density than R1.
And I think that's what they were, if you look on the page, the back page of the ordinance itself, there's highlighted yellow for ward and yellow for zone. And that is something that I think he was basically leaving open for any discussion.
Okay. I think that would be wise. That was my
Okay.
Is that not where the water tower comes?
No, sir. That location. On the, wait. I don't have that. This is part of the.
Here's a packet. It's in.
I may be talking about the wrong land.
Yeah, it's 5 acres, or roughly.
Okay, no, that's a confusing one.
I thought we'd already done it.
No, it's not been zoned yet.
That.
It's not been annexed yet.
Deeded to us.
The 1 acre is deeded to us. This is not the land swap. This is the, if you notice, this is just them bringing the other property into the city. So that if we do the land swap, it would be in the city. If we don't do it, it's still in the city where they can use it. But this doesn't change ownership.
This gentleman right here can verify, but so R1 is not for this. I believe they would like for it to be annexed in as R3. Yes. Okay. Sorry, since I was talking about the wrong property here. Yeah, so I think the idea on this one is that they're going to annex that property in as R3, which is the 70-foot wide lots, and they're just going to build the lots out here. Yes. Come on, this.
So where is the land swap? Again, is that where we're thinking about putting the water tower?
That is where it would be
And
swapped.
why is it in R3? That's residential.
It is because it's going to be in the corner of that subdivision. It would be, it has water towers and lift stations are in residential zones all over the state. That's not uncommon to have a residential zone where your water tower is.
That makes sense to me, but what do I know?
David, was it on the meeting?
R3 is like a 70-foot by 100, something like that. A lot of lots.
How many lots can you get an acre?
On an acre, with roads and everything, it's really called like 3.
What's the maximum? 3?
Yeah, I mean, once you do roads and everything, I mean,
I mean, what R3 allows us, that's my question. R3, what does it allow us to do? How many lot can they put on?
well, we don't have a lot, it's, in our code, it's not broken down lot per acre, it's just lot size, so it's like 70 foot wide, but like 100 deep, you know, in the zoning code. But usually, you know, it's that maybe 4, you know, if it was like a perfect scenario, you know, where like roads weren't taking up land through there.
So, where is this subdivision going? Is it in the white or the gray? On this map?
So the subdivision I was speaking of earlier is not on that map. This is not part of that. When we were talking about Morning Star and Phillips Cemetery, that's not this.
I understand.
Okay.
Is
So
there not are they not thinking about putting a subdivision in this area?
This is Trillium.
yeah.
This is, because Trillium's over on Evening Star, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's that right there.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
This one, the red one.
The red one,
Yeah, what is outlined in the red, what you're seeing right there,
Right?
yeah, it's essentially this.
So this would be where the water tower goes, and this is a different place,
Yes.
if we swap it.
Part of it, yes. I mean, they'll come back through and want to replat it, move it around, and then we'll know exactly where the water tower is going. But you can see right here kind of where the proposed water tower is in blue.
Right.
So that's what that is. But yes, I mean.
Well, this is what I was getting at. This is all gonna be subdivisions all the way around it here. Okay.
Yeah, there. You see it. Oh, yeah. Makes sense. Or better.
So according to this map, they're gonna put a roundabout at the corner of Murdoch and where it makes that first right turn up there. And the road will go straight across eventually.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
What is the zoning around it? Like the yellow, what is that zoned?
Well, I mean, this is all part of the PZD document, so, you know, there's the specific zoning that was created for all of that land, essentially.
I know that we passed, but, okay,
I guess,
Sorry, I mean, it's not a,
don't worry about that.
you know what I mean, an R2 or R3, you know, there's specific zoning created for that. I would say that the yellow would probably fall closer in lines with like an R4.
And the orange?
We don't really have a zoning
Or is that
created.
those pocket homes?
No, the pocket homes are the blue ones.
so the,
So that's what we're putting in, the pocket homes or the R3? That'll go in the zone R3, the
No,
pocket
ma'am.
homes?
No, the R3s are like larger lots that they have in there.
Oh, they're just the same color? So
Yeah.
the pocket homes are what's,
Pocket homes are where it
Right
shows
below it.
green with blue, like those blue, kind of tighter knit,
That's right here.
Homes.
Just pocket homes.
That's
This
what-
area is green.
or cottage courts, maybe.
Larger lots.
perfect, okay. That's what I was asking.
I usually wait to be invited up. David, is it okay if I jump in? Hi, Kyle Smith for Leadership Properties. Yeah, this has been through enough iterations that it's a little confusing at this point. Y'all approved our PZD back in December. There have been some minor changes to it down in this corner, in the southeast corner. Everything else you see there is relatively unchanged. When it was approved, there was a red outline that said contingent on purchase of this parcel, and we did purchase it. It's the one that we want to put the water tower on. We accidentally bought a little extra, and so that's why the red line tonight is a little bigger, and we're asking to annex more of it in, and that extra area is kind of what drove the design changes down here. Everything that we are planning, and it's currently in preliminary plat review at Planning Commission, so we're as on the record as we can be with the development intent here, and it's all consistent with the PZD intent that was already approved. We're just going a little outside its bounds, and that's why we're asking for the zoning here. And since technically you would replace a piece of the PZD zoning with the R3, We've chosen lot dimensions that are actually compliant either way, so we would meet all of the minimum requirements of the R3 zoning here. And I'm happy to revisit any of the history of it. Sorry I came in a little late. I thought y'all started at 6:30 like the planning commission.
So this comes through PZD, right? This is part of PZD. Did it go through PZD at planning commission, correct? The whole, this subdivision right here, right?
Yes, the subdivision as a whole, like all of the kind of design around what is outlined in red is part of that PZD. You know, they're looking at annexing this piece of land into the city. They're just asking for it to be just straight R3, which is the larger lots, essentially. It's in line with the larger lots that they have on there.
I'm glad to see this map, thank you. But what is the significance of the different colors? The yellow, the brown, the pink, and the blue, and the green?
In our PZD document, each one of those represented a different zone with a different lot dimension and setback regulation. And that was something that y'all reviewed and approved back in December. Technically, it wouldn't apply here because we would follow the R3 zoning instead of that, but they're close enough that the lot dimensions we have would fit into either set of regulations. So we've designed them to be compliant with the most restrictive requirements on both sets. But yeah, they're just different lot dimensions. The yellows are a 72-foot wide typical. The orange ones are a rear-loaded 50-foot wide lot. Those are in different areas outside of the annexation area.
This was just pointed out to me.
Yeah, that's down there too. If you can read the type, I shrunk it down to fit it on the page for you. So.
Well, I appreciate all that you guys are doing to bring more housing to the area.
I'm sorry?
We need more housing in the area. I appreciate all you guys are doing to bring more housing to the area, both planning and, the developers who are pushing it through. We appreciate that, so.
Thank you.
Anyone else? And I think you'll probably want to stay up for the next one. It is the real estate exchange, which has to do with the water tower. We don't have the documents to put in front of y'all yet, but that's something that Justin's working on, and he wanted it pointed out as well. There was restrictive covenants on that particular group of lots. This will only take place if, in one of two ways, is if the covenants are changed before we do it, or if it is the covenants are if the approval is based or contingent on that approval or that change, because it wouldn't allow water tower under the current covenants. So we would never sign the documents even if it was approved contingently until those covenants were changed. So in either case, that's the primary holdup. This is pretty much an acre for an acre. It's in the same area. We would want them to bring the water to us, but it's right across the road. And the acre that we currently have has an old shallow pond on it that we would have to fill. This one doesn't. It's at the same level, right at the same area. So it really doesn't change much for us. It's easy access for us either way. So that's why we're open to it. And that's what's going on with that, though. You have anything to add to that?
I do, Mayor. That was an excellent summary. I worked with Justin on this a little bit yesterday. Like you said, we heard loud and clear at the PZD an acre and not a square foot less. So the reason that it is not, that we don't have a legal description to offer yet is because we want to make sure that we have exactly the right area with the as-builts once everything's developed. It is a pretty standard swap. The agreement would allow us to do the dirt work on the city's existing acre. The actual title change would happen at final plat once everything was accepted by the city. The thing that we would like to discuss that's a little adventurous and non-standard is the possibility of a shared use or private maintenance agreement. When the final plat is approved, there'll be this acre, and as you noted, it's surrounded by subdivision on all four sides. And we don't know when the city plans to build that water tower. We would love to be able to mow that and landscape it to our POA standards at the developer and POA cost until you decide to build the water tower. Like you said, none of this part is in writing yet. Wanted to have the conversation with you all tonight, see what you were amenable to before Justin and our attorney drafted the legal language. But what we would love to do is to be able to put soccer goal, a picnic bench, maybe a gazebo or something, non-permanent improvements on the property just to make that acre in the middle of the neighborhood something that's usable and available for recreational purposes until the water tower is built. And then again, after the water tower is built, we know that you need an acre to build it. We're not sure if you will need the whole acre to operate the water tower at the end. So if there is extra land, you can kind of see, it's covered up under my red line unfortunately, but we situated some of our green space right next to this on the hopes that if there was some extra land here, we could sort of incorporate them together and have an enhanced open area for the public. And of course, anything that we did after that would be open to the public at the mayor's request and not restricted to the POA. I think that's a respectful and reasonable request. So happy to take y'all's reaction to that before we go and work on the language to bring back to you in 2 weeks.
Did you say the POA would be picking up the cost of that?
Yeah, it'd be the developer until the POA is set up, and then it would be the POA that would take over
It's
that.
no brainer for me. Sounds like a much better way to use the acre.
The one thing though is that I don't want conflict in the end, because you said if the city doesn't use the whole area, but if the city owns the acre, I don't know. I feel like that needs to be drawn out when Mary brought to work session.
There will be wording in the, in any documents that will be gone over by Justin, because it takes an acre to build one. It doesn't take an acre to maintain it as a rule, but there are certain maintenance items or construction in the future that could take additional space. Rogers has a park underneath one of theirs, and they call it Water Tower Park. And they use it as a park, but they also have the tower itself fenced off. They have the couple of parking spots for the people that do the maintenance. If they ever need to do something more, they can always remove some of the playground equipment, close the park, do the work, and then move it back. And so that is something that it's doable as long as it's not like permanent structures.
Well, I just, like at the last meeting when we're talking about the landscaping around the lift station, how much that costs, that was a lot of money. And the POA is paying a lot of money for landscaping, and our water tower goes up. I just don't want any conflict. I mean, we were looking at $19,000 to do some
I'll just say,
landscaping.
it makes sense to me from their perspective, though. I think they just want to keep that area not looking like a construction.
I mean, I like that.
And to me, it's just like, there's no mystery about what they're getting out of the deal. They're not gonna be able to sell lots or, anything else if it looks like crap right there. So to me, I understand why they're wanting to do it, and I think if the language looks, find the contract.
That's the big thing.
It's a win for us, too, so.
Well, yes, that's less than our public works has to do, I agree, but the
Yeah.
part at the end where you said, well, if you don't use the whole acre, X, Y, like, I just don't want any conflict, I just want it written out, I want it.
We have to maintain it or it has to be maintained in a usable condition in the event we needed it for the tower again. But it can be continued to be mowed, there can be landscaping around the edges, there can be things
Yeah,
done.
no, I agree with that. I think that would be great.
And that's where the wording has to be really closely monitored.
Agree. So we'll go to Justin
I-
for review.
I think I agree, it's a great idea for them to maintain it. However, after, if the whole acre, the city is not going to use that whole acre, then we need to discuss that, and the language in the contract should reflect how that's going to be. That's the only thing
Need to
I
talk to the city attorney.
And they are doing that currently and will address it further as well.
We can,
Yeah.
So all of that will be brought to the voting meeting, or we're going to have that as a work session?
It'll be discussed in a work session before we take the
Okay,
vote.
got it. So that's my concern. I wasn't making
Yeah.
sure we're not voting on that part.
Yeah, we're not voting on that. He wanted that discussed since it's a part of that
Perfect.
overall
Okay.
area being worked on.
Thank you.
So Mayor, just to understand the timing you described there, are you, you're thinking that it will be another month of discussion about this before we see a vote?
On any,
on
well,
the
you were
contract?
talking about final plat before we would transfer it, and if that's done, then it would be voted on any time from now till the final plat.
Gotcha.
And-
We would like to have an agreement before our preliminary plat is approved, just so that we know we have the city's authorization to go do the dirt work, so.
But, and that part's not a big problem as far as doing the dirt work, because ultimately if something falls through on the restrictions on the property and it stayed and we didn't move it, you're still gonna be doing dirt work on both sites anyway, so the dirt work can move forward without having that piece finalized.
I think he's accurate. I think if he wants to move forward, we need to move forward fast. And if we have an agreement and we can review it, then we can make a decision. But before having any agreement, anything that we can see, we can't make a decision on that.
That's what I was thinking, does it have to do another work session to discuss it instead of trying to hammer it out at a voting meeting next week?
That's reasonable, and we're not in a rush. We just wanted to get the conversation started so we could have some input before we drafted that language and get it back to you. So the annexation, we would like to go ahead and get that
That was no problem with that.
perfect.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And the last planning item is the master street plan and future land use plan.
Okay, so when we see the packet, you have the new map. Obviously, it's a little hard to read on this page, but I can pull it up on the TV if there's any specific questions. And Derek also has larger maps rolled, like paper copies. If y'all would like those, you want some of those up on tables? Okay, you want to grab those, Derek?
And David, should I also pass out the future land use categories from that? Okay.
He is with Darker, works with Juliet, and has been helping with
So this
the
is,
plans.
the part that is revision, kind of revision plan, we'll have like these original links, and it kind of takes what categories and the things were revised and so.
is dark pink. Light blue is that.
That is mixed use commercial, mixed use sport works.
Steve Simpson, like to know this place is mixed use commercial.
Yes.
Well, this isn't something that is future, you know, if someone wants to go. You know, so it's not something that, that's what that, you know, so you're, you know, this is kind of that one little, you know, like downtown kind of area between the two roundabouts, you know, this would be Shores, that is, you know, down here just south front, right?
Yeah.
You know, so that's, you know, what we looked at, it's kind of like that downtown core in the, oh, this is right here? Yeah, that's just
This way,
right there.
Yeah.
And like David was saying, you know, it's got colors like zoning map, but it's really important to keep in mind, it's not zoning, it's a policy tool that you all can use when you have a rezoning request, you can use it as a guide. This seemed like an appropriate rezoning request. It's just a tool that you have, in your toolbox for making those decisions.
So like Simpsons, what you're saying down here, this kind of shifting, with this shifting, that is like the transitional mixed use. You know, it's kind of, you know, it allows for a mix of residential, commercial, things like that. And it makes sense when you're talking about things that are on these kind of right? You know, there's obviously still going to be regular residential, there's probably going to be also some commercial in those areas because they're on the highway.
Yeah. That's where my preschool is, so.
So where is downtown Houston? Is it the orange?
Yeah, so orange and then
That's
that,
the brown.
the brown is downtown Ford.
Oh, okay.
So downtown Ford is gonna, I mean, it's still going to allow mixed use. You know, it's gonna allow, you know, commercial, maybe commercial, like a law apartment. You know, like kind of those traditional things you do see in like downtown,
Yeah.
or square, you know, city block.
Kind of like the PZD that we have approved for next to the law firm, right? Where it's like,
Yeah, that's
townhouse of the, yeah, businesses.
Some of them might be all commercial, some might be like that. commercial, some residential.
Is that what that one is, the brown rock?
Yeah, so if you look at,
This, go to the first page, should start with, it starts with the most downtown, off downtown core, and then kind of works its way out from there.
Right.
Areas. And most of this language that describes it comes from the downtown master plan that, that is in downtown.
so yeah, especially in this area, if you were to look at it, and we were referencing that downtown master plan that, you know, we work on, or what we look at kind of created. So we're trying to make sure we're, you know, paying homage to that, you know, staying within the realms of, you know, what we're looking at. And then there's, you know, stuff that's going to be like traditional residential, you know, we have all of this up here, you know, that's traditional, it's residential, and it's what Arion, which is residential, you know, so it's
Is that the county?
Yes.
That's orange here?
oh, everything, yeah, that's
That's the-
Scissortail, Looking Star, Phase 4, yeah, so like, those, these, so, you know, it's, they're zoned, you know, and we're not calling them out as a zoning category, as it's calling them out as, you know, is that going to change? No, it's not going to change, because it's not like someone's going to go in and take all those houses out. But it's just, you know, we needed that residential medium density, and so that's, you know, what we got all those qualities.
So would you, I was here, and they brought up these 3-story buildings or 2-story with apartments over stores, so people can walk away. But you gotta have things to walk away from first, right?
So where's the elementary school? Or is that cut out right there?
Right there.
Oh, right there, okay, I see.
And so we have, one thing we didn't have before that we're looking as is, looking at a public institution. Yeah, so like we didn't have that designation before, so we put a public institution designation in. That can be something, the city, school, and even like some of these weird instances where like maybe you run into a water tower lot, right? Like something strange, and it doesn't necessarily fit commercial, and it doesn't necessarily fit residential if we want, you know, we can call out, you know, public institution like that.
So that's more of a tool I mean, for us to look at it, we must say planning commission, kind of.
Yeah, so the planning commission, the future development, the streets are all classified, like these are all street classifications, same as like, the future land use plan classifications. So, what is a solid line like this is, like an existing street that's built out the way it needs to be. There's dashes like this, it's kind of like what's, we need this future on that one. Yeah, so like, this right here, this is 112, well, we've got 112 here, we know it's kind of going to stay the same. So it's an arterial, well, we know it's going to change here, so future arterial, future arterial around that. Yeah, so whenever you see like a dash, like that right there, it's essentially us planning for a future collector highway. We don't show local streets, like these, it's too hard, it's a hot pass, you can't really get people to put local streets.
Unless it's self-aware design rather than.
But if we are looking for east-west connections, like collectors and stuff like that, going south, the connections, that's it.
What's the red line there?
This, that's Rainbow. So on this also is the other cities all out.
Yeah.
So, this is Rogers, this is not Case Springs, but, where Rogers is showing this as a,
Well,
Or no, yeah.
They show it as artery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, so
We're just showing the plan.
Yeah.
It's like added information. Yeah.
But and same with, Morningstar here, right?
That's right.
This is, a lot of that's county and Bentonville. So, Bentonville is showing it all the way down here. This is where that branch subdivision that I first talked about is. Here's the power plant, and here's the cemetery. At one point in time, there was a thought of taking this down to 112. We're like, well, there's a power station cemetery right there. And there's another road here. So really, instead of that continuing down, when we looked at Murdoch and this connection, and we were already kind of building this up, we went ahead and built this all the way through the Scotts. Because Gaston is in from here to here as a partial of the road. We're already to here.
And Trillium is building this.
Yeah. So, at some point in time, this is all open land. And, the schools there, they're going to redevelop. It would be really easy to see this connect. And this being a collector from Scotland, which we're also showing as a future collector from 112 points.
So basically, that could be useful if somebody wants to rezone something, we can
Yes.
look at that and say, hey, master plan shows it's supposed to be C2 or whatever it might be.
It's a tool for developer that's, developers to see, what is the city, they also see in that area where they're planning for. And, right, some people might look at something like, oh, I don't want to put this, artillery lane and stuff, so these,
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, may I say something? To be fair to the audience, I really think we need to come up with a way that when we have stuff like that, people can see it. This is not big enough, that needs to come down, and we need a bigger screen on that, and that needs to be there. Or we have something here that we could have that on it so people can see it. Right now, we're discussing it, but the audience can't see it.
I can sit over there and I can adjust that.
No, I know that screen is small, we need a bigger screen on it. This is not sufficient.
That's a lot of information right there.
Well, I was thinking a way of trying to share it digitally to where people can look at it on their own screens and something like that.
But this is a work session, and they're welcome to look at it. And I would stay late and show it to them if they want to come up and take a look at it afterwards. But right now,
I understand this is work session, I'm not debating this is work session. What I'm saying that as the city of Cave Spring, we're getting to the point that we need to be able to let audience see what we're doing. You go to other city, Springdale, Rogers, anywhere else, you could see that in place. And instead of us trying to just saying, I'm trying to say, let's look into future, see what we can do to make it easier for folks. That's all I'm saying.
I think it just means in general, right? Not with the map.
no,
right
and
now.
I understand, but I've been to a lot of cities and they lay them out on the table and gather around and discuss them in a work session too. And I'm not saying that's the answer, I'm just saying that we can do that currently while we work towards something.
I assume today was a work session. Are we ready to do that for audience? No, we're not. So I'm saying that let's see what we can do to get ready. That's all I'm saying.
Anything else as far as?
Well, that's the other thing is, you said you'd stay late for people if they want to come look at it. I assume like any of us can come in if we want to like look over this map with you, David, that you'll explain to us and everything that's going on.
Well, I'll tell you
It would be good
First
first.
favorite copy of this that I've got, we have, I guess, been up.
Do you have an enormous scanner you could use to scan it?
Well,
No,
what
I'm
it is,
sure.
I'm gonna push this in the front office in the hall.
Okay.
That's what I'm taking.
That's a good idea.
Every night, we're gonna hang it up at City Hall. I've done that before.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've had with, future land use and master street plan maps basically live, front
Yeah.
office. So I will hand this up to Milwaukee, hopefully, tomorrow. And, anytime people want to then look at it, they can. And, if it's adopted, it won't have to change, stay down there, whatever. But if they're now,
I think it's great.
And anytime during work hours, we always, anyone who comes in and asks to look at any kind of plan, highway plan, we always accommodate. But I do understand we need a better way to show it here.
And like I said, maybe a digital way, like maybe, because a lot of, probably most of the people that watch our meetings watch it remotely. So maybe even like, posting it in the Facebook comments as an image or something like that to where people can see it. You already did it? See, Kim's on it. Look at that. We're all worried
This
about it.
stuff didn't show
Kim's,
me much though.
Kim's got it covered. Yeah.
The scale is really.
Yeah, it does. It makes a huge
Because I was
difference.
like,
Yeah.
where's these?
It's hard to look at something like this on
Like a screen.
any kind of digital screen, even on the computer. It narrows down what you're looking at, or it makes it so small that you can't see any of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess my personal opinion is when it comes to things like this, I don't think there's a way for us truly to grasp everything. We can't get a huge TV because then we're blocking
Sound panels.
the sound panels. So, if we frame it, if it's approved, frame it and post it even on the back wall or some, that people could reference or something along those lines. Because if people want to be really involved in the city, they'll take the time to come. But I don't, the digital format, like this, I had no clue where downtown was exactly, because you can't read that.
Well, here's another thought I just had is in Highfield, at a city council meeting that I was at in Highfield, they have a much larger TV than that, but you can wheel it around. So you can wheel it into the back if you're not using it. You can wheel it out almost to use like a giant projector board. You know what I mean? That's quite a bit larger that we may be able to roll it out. I'm sure we could workshop and figure out a way to do it. But that's just a thought. So.
Or bring a screen down, we've had the screen before at the Legion. If there's a screen that we can just bring down and
Projector.
project it that way, and then you have a pointer, and then we can all look at once as well, so.
All I'm saying that we need to move on to the future and not be, this is David holding that and going over it, I appreciate that. But I can see it, the audience can see it. I want people to be able to see it. That's the right to see it, not just being posted in there. I want what David explained to us, everybody be able to see it. I think they do it in other city, there is no excuse, we're just giving excuse if we're saying we're coming up with things. If you want me, I will start getting some bid for you to get it done.
I think a projector with a red pointer.
Projector's fine. Yeah, big
like,
screen.
Drop down here, because otherwise, I worry about the sound barriers if we did more than that. That's just my idea.
All right.
Next item is I'm actually going to insert Daniel here in the transition, and he has some updates on the Bright Road acquisition of right-of-way and the subdivision Hillcrest. Oh, and also the lift station plan. Yes.
I'll begin, I think, update on Bright Street. That's what we're talking about. I think it was a month and a half ago, the council voted to move forward with the, we'll call it land swap with MC, dedicating an easement as well as adjusting the property boundary. That was approved. We just need to get that finalized so we can get all that taken care of. The other remaining properties have been acquired. We do need to release some of the city right-of-way and based on the agreement we entered into with the watershed, and that'll be taking place soon as well. So other than that, everything's in play. We just need to do some paperwork for the one property to make the exchange that's been approved. The subdivision we were talking about, I guess the main update on it is the erosion control. The contractor, we notified them last week of some additional deficiencies. One was the signage. They were placing a sign on a barrel or something. They were fixing that and going to relocate it and place it out to place construction traffic only in that one entrance. I don't know if it's been placed yet or not, but that was as of middle of last week. They were working on it.
On Rusty Creek?
Yes.
No, they put up for barrels now. Contractors are hopping the curb and going on the sidewalk and on Brentwood land, going up the trail, hopping down and eroding already the curbside because the vehicles are so heavy.
All right.
So they hop the curb and drive in there.
Yeah.
There's no cement barriers up yet, and they were running over the wattles even with the cement truck.
The wattles, the contractor pointed out that they are using some of the wattles to keep from breaking the curbs.
She's talking about the ones across the road on that
Okay.
street, and they had agreed to put barriers across the street there, not barrels.
Well, it may be a barrier, barrel. They're placing a sign on something. We're going to locate it out there.
Okay.
Well, the sidewalk, yeah. The sidewalk is a concern because they're ruining the trail by hopping the curb with their vehicles and going down on various spots.
All right.
Contractors are, but the mayor's been aware and the police department too. It's just a matter, I think, of catching.
We need to go back and take a look. Some of those homes, I don't know if this contractor's building all the homes or if there's some other contractors building homes as well. I don't know who
Who's
is actually in there, so we'll have
It's a
to.
variety of people,
Okay.
so.
That road's closed until someone lives in there. And
Yes.
it needs to be maintained as a closed road, and they know it's closed, and one or two vehicles we keep seeing over and over again crossing crossing the curb and the sidewalk, and they're not designed for that. And so I've worked with the police department. They're trying to catch them doing it, but we have also talked to them about putting up the concrete barriers again. And that's where we thought the sign was going to be, and then we were hoping to be able to really weight down the barrels and put the barrels out there where they can't go around.
Like on the curb, but you can still get through, right? Is that what you're talking about, the barrels?
Put the barrels out on both sides on the sidewalk
So they can't-
themselves, and so they can't really go around it.
No, that's great.
As of middle of last week, he told me that we're having a sign placed on traffic barricades and will be placed across the connection point of the two subdivisions. So I don't know when they're planning to place it in, but they're getting the sign prepared. We'll follow up and ask them when that's going to be done.
Okay, well, because I guess I thought the concrete barriers were going to be in by now, was that your understanding?
That was my
Yes.
thought, but they didn't give an actual timeline, but they talked like it's going to be quick.
Okay.
So I just, that
People walk those
doing
sidewalks.
damage now.
Do we need to close the sidewalks as well? The streets are closed?
Just to the vehicle traffic, yeah. But as far as placement of the barrels could do that as long as they're weighted well so they can't just get out and move them.
Okay. Maybe you could send me a list of items to get with them to for corrective actions. We provided that to them a week and a half ago, I guess, and by email and by phone call. Or I guess last week, by email and by phone call. And they said they were going to work on those items, sweep the sidewalk, and make some upgrades. We've not gone out to verify that they've done any of it.
They haven't swept the sidewalk on that, by that lift station. It's been like that since the erosion started.
Okay.
With the first rain. They haven't done anything, and all the rock and debris continues to go all over the sidewalk when they don't put anything up. It's been like that from day one.
All right, we will follow back up. Last item, you had asked last month to obtain some additional information about the NACA lift station. So what I've passed out in front of you is a landscape plan that we had pulled together to give the contractor the right pricing to shield the lift station on the south side of the south side of their adjoining properties. And you'll see the different types of trees, plants that were listed there. On the email that's provided is an update, or not an update, but a cost associated with that is broken out by tree. Planting is roughly $19,955. Originally, when we were started construction on this project, this was brought up by the neighboring property owner, so we would evaluate adding landscaping in that area to assist with the views from their backyard, and so we've pulled this together. Actually, he's seen the landscape drawing as well, made some comments on it, as he had asked to be part of that, and we've got pricing associated with it, and that's what's before you today.
For the council members that weren't here, I voted to table this because I did not want to approve that amount. And my personal opinion is I thought a couple trees. I personally do not want our city to spend that much money when it only benefits very few people. And lift stations around town, do they necessarily have landscaping such as this, Mayor?
They don't all have landscaping. Some of them do have natural growth around them. Like the one up in Otter Creek, there's a lot of natural growth and trees growing over and around it. But
because then our city would have to maintain all this. I think a couple trees is great, but that's my opinion. I did not, when I said landscaping, that's what I thought. I did not realize all of this.
Get warranties on the trees, though.
What?
Get warranties on the trees. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why that's why it's extra expensive, man.
Walmart or Lowe's, and you can get a place where you want to.
You can go plant it yourself. Well, yeah. I'm not planting it, though.
Well, that's not what this is for.
I'm not in favor of it. My opinion. Couple trees, yes, but not this.
Any other questions on?
anything else? No. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Next item is the resolution authorizing the mayor and clerk to enter into an agreement with the city of Springdale concerning the water territory boundary between two cities. And we have that in front of us. Justin actually brought this to me. This is something that had already begun.
Yeah, this is a follow-up. Council, this is a follow-up to the land swap to the south. It was a simultaneous detachment and annexation that was done on the very southern part of the city, where property that was owned by Blue Ribbon was partially in the county, partially in Cave Springs, partially in Springdale. Earlier this year, we released that property to Springdale, and this is just the action to release the water territory. Springdale Water Utilities can serve that area, and so it's just a follow-up to that. Springdale has already adopted the resolution and sent it over to us on Friday.
Thank you, Justin.
All right. The next one is to a resolution to adopt the Arkansas legislative audit information. Do you want to discuss that one as well?
Council, this is the legislative audits information systems best practices. It is a manual on just that, on best practices. We had adopted a previous version, probably 5-6 years ago or more. This is a updated version as of October of 2024, so this is just updating that latest version.
All right.
Two easy ones in a row.
Any questions?
All right.
The next one is the resolution updating the signatories on the city bank accounts. This is the one y'all tabled a couple of times. And as you know, anytime something's tabled, it has to come back. And the items, I talked to legislative audit about this and bringing those departments under, or these items underneath Public Works Department. They said that can be done. It's been done very successfully by other cities. They gave us guidance on what to do and how to do that. We will be following that guidance. This could come before us this month. It may be discussed further at the next work session, depending on where we are with the following the guidance from the legislative audit.
County is still city accounts. These three accounts are still city funds. They are not water, they're not public works, they're not public works accounts. So I requested that my name still, the city treasurer, be left on these accounts for a signer. Because as of right now, my name is protected.
And as we're following the guidance from legislative audit.
Do you have an email about that?
No, and you know why we don't? Because they, until it's done that way, they do not give a legal opinion. Until it's done that way, they don't give a legal opinion. They recommend you go to they gave the recommendation of the process to use and going through our city attorney and possibly even the municipal league, and that's what the process we're following.
Then why do you feel it necessary to remove the city treasurer from the city accounts?
Because this is going to be the street department is public works. It is, they order things, they get things in, they pay bills the same way they do in the water department and the sewer department. They fall under the same guidance. The legislative audit said this has been done very successfully in other cities and gave us the guidance. That's the guidance we're following. We're trying to make things, as the city grows, we're trying to make things more professional. That's what we're doing. It still has 3 signatures. It still has the oversight. Transparency is audited every year, and
Through the city, which is the legislative audit.
Right. And they will-
Audit water and sewer accounts. Legislative audit only audits the city accounts. You're removing the elected official from this account that is responsible for doing bank recs on these 3 accounts. So no, that is not being transparent, Mayor.
it's being fully transparent in accordance with the legislative audit guidance.
The city treasurer not to be removed from these 3 city accounts. That's all I'm asking.
Next item on the agenda is the lease agreement.
Wait just a second, I have a question regarding that. I want to know Justin's opinion on that.
My opinion is I would prefer this be tabled a little further, than looking into it, as well as having to deal with a number of other things. So I think it's just an item that I'd like to prepare for and come at a future work session. I don't think it's ready for tonight. That's okay.
Thank you.
Sounds great.
Table again.
Next item is the franchise agreements. Franchise. I got away from the
Sure thing.
agenda for a minute, but I'm back.
Council, I have it in my hands, and it's going to be in your packet for August, 3 franchise ordinances, franchise agreement ordinances. These are going to be, these are ones that you saw earlier in the year. This is for Carroll Electric, Swepco, and Black Hills Energy. All three of these ordinances, the previous franchise ordinances date back to 1980. So these are the oldest 3 franchise agreements that we have. They were updated to address a number of issues that we're experiencing with utilities going into the right-of-ways. It also increased the franchise fees to 4.25%. And so these are going to be in the next work session agenda. The reason that's going to be done is that we need to do a couple of things in preparation. One is, in talking with the utilities, they have billing cycles that we need to kind of sync up for when the new franchise fee will go into effect. And so when these ordinances be passed, typically if you pass something with an emergency clause, it goes into effect the next day. If you pass something without emergency clause, it will go into effect in 30 days. That might not quite align up with the billing cycles. And so reaching out to all 3 utilities that are mentioned here to get their cycles so we can find out when those ordinances need to start. So going to try to align that as closely as possible. The next thing that needs to happen is we've had a significant amount of annexations over the last couple of years and changes of the municipal boundaries. We need to send updated maps of our current boundary, maybe with even the new annexation that's being proposed right now, to all utilities and have them check. We've already done that with Black Hills in working with them, but on the other utilities, we need to make sure that their maps are updated. So working on that currently. The other utilities that we have that have franchise agreements are kind of the communications utilities. Cox Cable, the ordinance dates back to 2007, and that's a 5% franchise utility. And then we have franchises on AT&T, CenturyTel, that go back to 2013. All those, the telephone data franchises are 3%. And those are relatively newer ones. The 1980 franchise agreements didn't have a lot to them. And in the newer agreements, the franchisees agreed to, come to us when they want to do a street cut. They have to get a permit. They have to clean up after they install a utility or repair a utility. A lot of those type of provisions that were not in some of the earlier ones are now in the newer ones. So just a kind of a heads up of status. All this will be coming forward in the August work session, and by then it'll have the start dates in there for the August city council meeting.
I have one question.
Yes.
Well, the situation we dealt with, you and I did, and the mayor with Cox Communication maintaining their easements, is that in there, like if it's washed out? Because that was a months-long battle.
Yeah, that is in there. That was put in there for that very reason.
Great.
Such an issue, trying to, and ultimately with Cox, the 2007 franchise agreement in that particular instance did require that as well. They just needed some incentive to go out there and do it. But yeah, that's in the new ones as well.
You battled that a lot as a city attorney.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have had to do it like that.
That was a battle. So partly that's that and some issues with, I think, fiber cutting. The mayor's talked to me about this, doing street cuts and having the patches not be good are what's really driving a lot of this update, and looking at these are 55-year-old ordinances, and so it's time to bring this current.
And when you think they're doing you a favor in boring the street, if they do it too shallow, you wind up with a ridge across the street, and it makes noise for the neighbors and weakens your street. So those are all things that needed to be addressed.
Perfect.
So there'll be 3 at a minimum. Mayor and I are talking about, those aren't go, they kind of operate under Carroll, but we're still figuring that one out. There may be a 4th, but as of right now, I'm pretty certain, I am certain it's going to be 3 that come to mind.
Thanks for your work on that, Justin.
All right, thank you. Coffee shop lease, now we're there.
Okay. So I sent this by, well, you have from the previous work session, a copy of the proposed lease. The coffee shop, the attorney for the coffee shop sent this to me as a proposal for the city council to consider, the city council to consider. So that's what you had before you. So the terms in there are from the tenant and including the rent term. I know from the previous discussion that nobody really thought that the rent was a fair proposal. We wanted to take a look at that. I've gone through and done edits to the lease that I believe ought to be done. That need to be done from the city. So I think what I'd like to propose is that we send something back to the tenant saying, here's the changes that we would propose to the lease, as well as the rental terms that we would want to kind of go back to the tenant with. I've talked to a couple of you about this. Some of the points that have been brought up is that the lease value seems low. I've also highlighted that, it's a 60-month lease term. MC, in my experience, has been pretty common for commercial leases to be 5 years. But to be locked in at a rate of 5 years, maybe not the greatest idea from the city's point of view, that maybe we'll look at, a rent that escalates a certain percentage or each year, which is common, I think, as well in commercial lease agreements. One of the changes that the mayor wanted to make sure that we put in was the exclusivity of the parking lot. That there are times when the city needs to use the parking lot after hours for citywide events and things like that. And we would coordinate with the tenant to make sure it's not disruptive. And that there are times when we might be able to use that. So I added in some language that would make it clear that the parking lots are not exclusive use by the tenant. In other words, they would have that for their business. We would do our best to avoid disruption, but if it's a citywide event, that may be needed. So I figured, from tonight, it might be a good result is to have some idea of what to go back with on rent, on what type of terms. The lease expires at the end of September, so I think a good time frame for us to get this in place would be in August. So we do have some time to work this out, although it's nearing the end. And one of the other options that if we're still working it out, we can extend the lease for a number of months to do that. That's always a possibility too. We just need more time.
We should talk about the parking lot.
So the parking lot, it's at the very end. Do you have a budget? I emailed you this version. I didn't want to get too many versions of the lease out there.
I didn't get it.
Okay.
I didn't look for it.
Yeah, it's on the email. At the very end of the lease, I added a parking provision that talks about the non-specific. But, essentially, it's, I think the issue that you all raised, we mentioned it's a rent, and right now it's being requested at $1,200 a month, which would be that for all 60 months. And then if I believe that there's an option to extend the term, a renewal option, and then that, if that happens, it is increased 4%.
I don't know anything about rent, so MC, do you have any feedback on that? price?
Well, this definitely, for commercial, this is low.
Very low.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's understanding on number 7, they expect the landlord to do a lot of things. So I understand, we really, if they want us to do all these things, we need to, yeah, the rent is very low for that, looking at commercial building, honestly. However, there are things about the parking lot that I don't agree with what she just said, that I think we need to make it more like a commercial agreement. If we're gonna give them that parking lot, we can give them so many parking lots that they can have for them to use. However, as far as the rent goes, accordingly we charge them. I mean, they're gonna do business, they need to have a parking lot for themselves to do business. That's just fair. And we just gotta look at it as commercial, and $1,200 is very low. And number 7, maintenance, is a lot of things that most commercial, the landlord doesn't cover that simply.
It's triple that, yeah. Yeah.
So we need to look at all that. I'll be more than happy to send you feedback.
That would be great. Yeah, that was one of the things I meant to mention as well, is that under the proposed lease agreement, we would be responsible for the ad valorem taxes, the insurance, and for the maintenance of the
HVAC.
HVAC main drivers, so that needs to be built in.
It's like a
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost backwards of what I expect to see in a commercial lease. I mean, every commercial lease that I pay for, it's a triple net, and so, you know, I want to see a triple net for this as well, and then carry the cost of that. And I mean, I'm with MC too. It's like, I mean, if we're taking bids, I mean, I'll move my law firm in there. I'll pay way more than $1,200 a month. So I mean, it's super low. And so, I mean, I think if it was $2,400 a month at a triple net lease, then we'd kind of be in the realm of reality there. But that's, I mean, to me, this is it's an awesome deal for them. I mean, it's a great lease that, you know, that their lawyer put together. But I think, yeah,
We can send you some comps, that will help you. I really think we need to look at what they just said is correct. The other side of it is correct also. If they're a business, we're gonna charge them like a business, then they need to have a parking lot for the clients that they're coming. Can't have have a law firm, but you can't have a parking lot. So I'm not saying all the parking lot, but have some of them at a specific time.
How often do we use their parking lot for city business during coffee hours?
Yep, right now, pretty much never.
Never. So it's just saying that,
It would be more for events, after hours, weekends, that type of thing.
more public parking after hours,
Yeah,
which,
weekends, now they may be open on Saturdays, and we have Cave Springs stays again Sunday. That, or Christmas in Cave, or things like
Yeah,
that.
things like that, we can work with them, I really don't. I think we should charge them like a business, hold them accountable like a business, and treat them like a business. And
great.
I mean, how long have they been in there? 5 years.
No, they've been there 10 years now.
They had paid a dime, all they did was replace the stuff that's.
They have little less than 2 years they've been paying. 600.
yeah. But I really like Joy House. I want them to stay. I don't want to get anybody to get twisted. I want them to stay. We have to figure out a way that we're not subsidizing their business, I think,
Right.
essentially. So.
No, I agree with that.
JJ, did you say a number?
Well, I just threw. I said what I said is if it was $2,400, twice what they're suggesting, and it was a triple net lease, which puts again the responsibility for paying the taxes and the maintenance stuff on them. I said that would still be a sweetheart deal, right? So I'm saying we're a long, you know, that's a sweetheart deal that I would think is in the realm of reality, though. I might be willing to look at that, but yeah, I think the rent is way too, the lease amount is way too low, and obviously
I
I'm
agree
going
with
to
that.
see that one of my biggest concerns is if we're bearing essentially, you know, all of the cost of maintenance, the tax burden. It's a very favorable lease to the point that again it feels almost like a public subsidy to me to you know artificially boost their profits. So I just want to find a way that you know the taxpayer isn't trying to float them, but we still want them to be in the community. So obviously there's probably a dollar amount that drives them out of there. And maybe we do give them a slightly lower lease amount than we would a brand new tenant because they're here, they're part of the community. But all that being said, I'm leaning towards, you know, it being a much different number than what we're saying.
I don't want them to go anywhere. I know many people that meet at Joy House to have coffee, but when it comes to a point of, you brought up a great point of taxpayers subsidizing their business. Also, you don't have much property that we own in Cave Springs as a government itself. So, I think it needs to be more. I don't know, I'm not educated enough on what to decide, but, it'd be great if we could somehow find out. Is there any way you can find out comparable stuff, MC, with your resources, so that we're not being, I feel like this is a very low ball offer,
Yeah,
but not being overly rash.
we definitely want to keep the businesses in town. I just want it to be more like a commercial contract rather than, this is very one-sided contract in my opinion.
Agreed. Okay. So Justin, you said this would be probably a vote for August, but,
Yes, I believe so. And if it would.
so can we put it on next work session too? Do you
If it
think?
would make it easier to.
We'll probably have a new version of the contract.
It might be good for T and I to work on, maybe some ideas to bring back for you all.
That'd be great.
Work session.
Well, I can let you look at my commercial lease for the preschool, if you want to see, like, just right down the road. you know.
All right.
So,
Anything more? Next.
No, I just want to tell them, we really want to keep the coffee shop. That's
We do.
not really,
Oh,
we
yes.
just want to make sure it's fair for everyone.
it's the only place I can get a breakfast sandwich in town that I don't have to get out of my car. So we want them to stay, but
All right, thank you. Next item is an ordinance establishing procedures and measures for electronic fund transfers.
Mr. Mayor, interrupt you, sorry. I think the owner of the coffee shop is here. Does he have anything to say?
I love your breakfast sandwiches.
Yeah, do you have anything to say at this point?
No, we love being here, serving the community. That's what we're here to do. We've been trying to get a lease since January. We got nothing from the city, so we gave you the lease to react to. So that's why you have the lease you have.
Thank you.
No, just to be clear, like, obviously, I don't expect you to bring us like a lease that's awful in terms for you,
Exactly.
you know? And obviously, I mean, I saw your attorney prepared it.
Yeah.
I'm an attorney as well. I mean, we've got Justin, so I totally understand. I think this is a great starting point. We've just gotta try to push back on, from the
Totally
city's,
understand.
point of view as well. But keep it up. Love the pepper jack cheese on the breakfast sandwich. It's a good choice.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, next item is the electronic fund transfer policy ordinance. And I think Justin has information for this one as well.
Yes. So this is a draft that I prepared of procedures for EFT payments. We talked a little bit about it at the last work session. The city's wanting to do some more be able to make some EFT payments to certain, in certain situations. In Arkansas, in Arkansas law and Municipal Accounting Act, it basically states that if we're going to do that, we have to follow a certain set of procedures, and one of the things that we have to do is have some procedures. I did some research, not trying to reinvent the wheel, found some good examples, put those together. This one is fairly similar, somewhat to one that's utilized by Farmington, but it goes through some of the steps that are going to be required in order to do EFTs. As an example, and this is in state law, if you do EFTs for payment of salaries and wages, which we do direct deposits of those, there has to be a log that's kept with that information that is there under section 2. EFTs are permitted for under statute for payments to federal and state entities. So IRS being one of those, a state entity would be Lockheed and Acres, Department of Finance and Administration. There are other state entities that we make payments to. Those can be authorized to those governmental payees. They can also be used for intergovernmental payments. So if we have payments that need to be made between our accounts or with a common one that we have, I believe, is to Bentonville for water, where we have a fairly large payment that we have to make for purchasing of water, and that can be done that way. There's some utilities that are listed there that were provided by Kim, SWEPCO, Cox, AT&T, and so forth and so on, where we could make those utility payments that are regular recurring payments to those particular utilities there. So in order to initiate an EFT, there's a procedures document that's attached by as Exhibit A. Again, I took these as best I could from state law and from some other cities that had adopted these. And so it has those steps on the bank control requirements and EFT procedures, kind of step by step, like here's what you need to do to initiate an EFT payment. Yeah, that covers the most of it. If there are any questions, I'll do my best to try to address those. But the state law said that we need to have procedures, and so this was kind of the first step in putting those together, as well as sort of identifying some of those regular EFT payments that the city is going to be making: payroll, government, intergovernment, utilities, those kind of things.
I took a look at this and I think it looks great. The only thing that I have that I was concerned with is on the back page is number 5, where it says the payroll disbursement account may be by check, so like EFT authorized by either the mayor or the city treasurer. EFTs must have 2 signatures as well, not one or the other. Just like you have to have 2 signers on a check, you have to have 2 signers on an EFT transfer as well. So that needs to be changed by, it either needs to be authorized, it needs to be authorized by the mayor and the city treasurer.
Okay, I'll double check into that. I know the bank requirements the banks have certain requirements on how many, whether 1 or 2 people can do an EFT. And I believe I was following the procedures that I came across. I've noted that. I'll take a look at it.
I talked to Tina tonight, she said you have to have 2, just like you would have for a check sign, you have to have 2.
Okay.
But in this regard, I would never do an EFT for payroll. I won't do it, our auditor doesn't approve it, he wants a paper check to have any transfers from one account from one city account to the other city account, he wants a payroll, because we used to do that in the past, and I've gotten written up for it. So he said that we need a paper trail with a check from one account to the next, so.
And I spoke to the auditor. He said he has no problems with the EFTs, that he sees the transfer from the bank paperwork as being documentation of the paper trail, and that in the case where you're going from your general fund to your disbursement account, you have 2 trails. You have it in the account from the general fund and in the account receiving through the disbursement account. And I take real issue with not doing that and accepting payment where your only paper trail is going out into someone else's bank. That is half the trail that you have when you're doing it internally, and it hasn't left your own city. And that was based on his.
I will be getting the write-up from the city treasurer for this, so I won't do it. So it's either, it's a wash.
Can we just get in writing, like from whoever you guys are talking to?
I
Or?
will not put anything in writing. That
Okay.
is a suggestion, they won't put anything in writing until it actually comes down to the point of when they give you an audit and they write you up.
So,
That's what I was stating earlier.
Yeah, okay.
And, but he told me there would be no findings as long as we had the bank statements that showed the paper trail. That does show the transfer.
We've been written up for it in the past. So, I'll do it.
so which section are we talking about in this? I don't see even payroll here. What?
Effectively, I don't think we should be doing electronic fund transfers at all if we can't, as far as to pay bills or anything else. If we can't, if 2 reports from the bank while the money's still in our hands is not good enough paper trail when the auditor says it is, then paying it and having one trail going to someone else is half as good.
So I'm sorry, maybe I'm missing something. I'm trying to understand what section on this are we talking about? What's
The back section where it's talking about transferring from the general fund to the
Payroll, yeah.
payroll account disbursement fund.
604.
this section? That's right. Okay. Again, I want to go to Syria and get his opinion. That's,
Well, it sounds like he said he's gonna have to check on some of the.
Yeah, so, this is one that I'm also, checking into. Mayor, that, I mean, here, you know, you talk to the auditor has said, yeah, that's fine. The bank would have certain procedures. I will note that the EFT, in here says that, you know, handling of EFT is the same, where is that, under section 5. They're subject to the same financial policy procedures and controls that govern disbursements by any entity. So, I think, what we're talking about is getting into some of the finer needs of how we transfer money between accounts. And, whether that can be, the question is whether that can be done by, EFT, or whether that needs to be done by a check, who authorizes it, and that sort of thing. So, I'm looking into that right now, and I'll be able to respond to that, some more going forward. But I noted I think it was mentioned on Exhibit A, I've got that noted, and I'll go back in. But this was the first attempt on getting these down, and I do think it's a pretty good procedure for EFTs. I think we're kind of in the meeting on it.
It sounds like the bulk of it's, yeah, ready to go, so.
So do we want to hold off until August work session, or do you think you'll have the?
It's fine with me, it's whatever you all are comfortable with. I mean, I know that part, but it's still an answer.
Just do that.
I think Kim mentioned that she got audited and that was the issue with the auditor, right? Do you have that
It's in
audit?
our audit plans.
Can you send us a
Sure.
copy of it?
Absolutely. We used to go as far as is to when we make dot checks, we would electronically scan checks and deposit those checks electronically. We got rid of that too, we couldn't do that. So, we had to get rid of that whole process from the bank as well. So now we just go back and take the checks to the bank instead of doing it for scan electronically.
So if we have an audit, then you can send it to Justin to, of course, to an office. Then at least we have something in hand that shows can be or can be not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't want to just repeat itself, but also at the same point is stating that the city treasurer is responsible to approve any disbursement. And if the mayor is authorizing EFT without the city treasurer's authority to disperse funds, I mean, what's the point?
But that's what Justin's gonna look into that, that's what we table.
All right. Next item is ordinance amending 2019-09 to set new fixed asset threshold. And,
Mayor, this changes the threshold from 2,500 to 4,000 for the fixed asset list.
This is my recommendation, because everything now is so expensive. We're having to put just the smallest things on our asset list, so I said 4,000, if council wants to
That was a sneeze of agreement, Ken.
You buy a laptop now for $3,500. So, I mean, every little thing on that is what we ask for. So, that's it.
No, thank you for that, Ken.
And at this point, I want to address something that's been brought up the last two meetings. A missing trailer that never was. It's a trailer we've used every week for the last many years. And when the auditors couldn't find it, did you go?
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. When the auditors couldn't find it, it's probably because it's out working and they were sent where it wasn't.
We actually asked him how it works director at that time, and he went out and he looked and he couldn't find it either.
It's the green trailer they pull the mowers on. He uses it every week.
That's great, I'm glad.
And so it's here, there's nothing to,
If I can get a copy of it and some pictures of it, I will need to send that to the auditor.
you can have, I'll give you that afterwards.
Actually,
But
need a physical copy of the trailer, not the VIN number, I need a picture of the trailer, so I can.
the trailer's on here, the VIN number's on here.
That's all I need. We just physically not put our eye or hands on the trailer and the auditor's here.
Yeah. So that is taken care of. And the next item is an ordinance to establish an events committee.
It's much needed.
So, and MC asked for kept asking why. And, or when we discussed this last time, what we were doing it for, or why. And you mentioned wanting a mission statement. The next page is I looked at many others, and no one did just a mission statement. They do a combination of value statement, vision statement, mission, and purpose. So I got all of that put together on the next page. Is there any discussions on it, or discussion on that?
How we all find these people?
Yeah,
A draft.
so. Anything else?
Yes.
Okay.
Stoplight still August or end of the year or? No change.
It won't be August.
It probably will not go.
I got a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Got a motion and second to adjourn. Thank you.
I'm just trying to get that to load.
This down